Hi everyone, I'm Quinn Robinson and my IP is Polyquest. The logline of my IP is a sarcastic and imperfect QB of the Rhombic Forest must rescue the love of their life after being kidnapped by the Triangle King at the cost of saving love itself. So the opening image of my IP is two lovers, just having a good time in a field of low polyness. It's a 3D animated show targeted towards kids. So there's going to be a lot of really cutesy sort of things that you see, the shapes that are conveyed that are really translatable to anyone of any age, though. So we've got the two characters here. They're set up to be two old guardians of others, but they've kind of become complacent in what they've done. So they've kind of made a life of their own out in the Rhombic Forest, as it's called. But unfortunately, such a thing can only last for so long. The next step of the arc is the invasion of darkness. The Triangle King comes and invades and breaks them up because he is on a quest to destroy all that is love. So, what the Triangle King does is he comes to kidnap Octi, the protagonist's partner, in an effort to destroy love itself. After this happens, QB, the protagonist, goes on a quest to save their partner. They see a lot of sights and they meet a lot of people, but there's one person that changes their life forever. The Hex Wizard out in the Outcast. An old wizard that once protected the people around the multiverse. Someone who is now an outcast to society teaches QB the ways of magic. With these powers, they join forces together in an effort to stop the Triangle King. And as you can see, it is a very tumultuous fight. Unfortunately, this fight doesn't go as well as they hope it would. The bad guys do actually win in this fight. They think all is lost. They think everything is gone. QB cries alone in the dark because the Hex Wizard ends up betraying QB. The Hex Wizard had a grudge of their own throughout all of this to try to defeat the Triangle King because it's revealed that they are old enemies, and the Triangle King is the one that made the Hex Wizard an outcast in the first place. So QB, in all of this, has lost just about everything. They've lost their home, they've lost their partners, so they sit alone in silence, really, after, running from this intense fight. After all of this, however, the Hex Wizard digresses and comes back to QB, and they share a touching moment. They make up together, and the Hex Wizard says that without either of them, they would not make it at all. So they make up together, and they go to fight the Triangle King together, and they fortunately win the day with the power of teamwork and the power of love, most importantly, because they are all on a quest to save the power of love across the multiverse. Throughout all of this, QB's quest is a very strong representation of, sticking it to the man and telling people that you aren't just someone to be thrown down and set aside. You can't let someone tell you what to do. You have to work with what you have to make it out there. I think it's really translatable to kids because of the really cutesy figurines. This right here is a rendering of the potential art style it would look like, and also some visual development of what some of the concepts would be. One of the concepts here is that various characters throughout the universe would be infected by the Triangle King's power, and they would be lonely and unable to feel love, or unable to even spread love. Um, Through that, they find this resounding sort of emptiness and become ghosts. So you get these really cool looking glow ghosts throughout the world, which are sort of the remnants of the Triangle King's despair. In this show, however, I think it's important to know that in every kids show, there's an interesting way to deal with death. And in order to keep my kids appropriate rating, I've decided that my characters will break apart like Lego pieces. In some ways, I think it's really cute because everyone loves the sort of idea of someone falling apart in Lego pieces, and I think there's also a good way to stylize it. Say for the Triangle King breaks apart with little triangles, or if they're fighting a rectangular boss, it breaks apart in rectangles, and it's all symbolism in a way. So I'm going to go and move on to introducing my characters. We have the protagonist, QB. They're a gardener and kind of quiet by nature, but they really don't enjoy getting out in the greater world. They were once someone who would do something like that, but they don't really anymore. They live with Octi out in the Rhombic Forest, and they enjoy their quiet life, but soon, as you can see from the story arc, that they had other plans. There's the Hex Wizard, the one who teaches QB how to use magic and to use the power of love to save others. They are an old jaded fighter, but they really they make a huge come around through the whole story. They start out as this kind of like an old man who doesn't want to change their ways, but they turn into this kind of love-touched individual, and they really turn around in the end. We have Octi, QB's partner, who is the one who's kidnapped by the Triangle King. This individual has a really hard time throughout the whole story just because of being kidnapped by the Triangle King, but you really start to see Octi shine right at the end when they all three team up to take down the forces of evil together with the power of love. And then we have the Triangle Minions. This part is actually one of my favorite parts because they are so cute. You might have noticed throughout the presentation there's a lot of cute little triangles littered throughout it just because of how much I have adored making their design. They are very cute, and they're going to be the only character that doesn't actually say any words. They're only going to squeak, because I want them to be sort of small and adorable, and also super translatable into like plushies or merch like that, and this is going to be the kind of character that you just fall in love with. And then we have the main antagonist, the Triangle King. This is the one that everyone's kind of gunning against and all of that, because the Triangle King is on a rampage to stop all love across the multiverse. They have millions of minions at their disposal, and they will stop at nothing to rip apart those who are in love. After all of that, I'd like to talk about the merch that I have planned for this show. A lot of the merch that could come out of this are things like figurines. I think just because of how translatable basic shapes are to most anything, I think it would be easy to make figurines. As you can see from the picture below, this is a test 3D print of one of the figurines that I would expect merch would look like. Obviously, this is a roughed out version, but the final version would be injection molded, so it would look a lot cleaner. But this is pretty much what it would look like. Other ideas I have for that would be tabletop supplements for D&D games, RPG games, even a video game. A lot of people have told me that a video game would translate really well through this merch. And finally, that's the end of my presentation. My contact info is here, and if you'd like to purchase this IP, please let me know.